It's back together, but will it work? Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Videobyte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we are looking at a Sony Video8 machine. Only the second Video8 machine I've actually looked at on the channel, which is a bit surprising. I have actually done quite a few, but it sort of predates this channel, so yeah, it'll be quite interesting, this one. This is a EV-S700 UK market, and it's pretty much first Video8 video recorder that was released in the UK. It's a fairly basic machine, but really a very nice machine, and I've actually had a couple of these and they've been great. I think these as well, they don't have very many of the troublesome surface mount capacitors as well, which makes them in some ways a lot more reliable, but it's a late 80s machine, so it's got some age. Yeah, so a bit of history. Bought this, gosh, must be probably 4 years ago, it was fairly cheap, but it's really been through the wars. A whole load of something has been splattered all over, and it's actually taken the paint off. The front loading system, I believe, well, I say the front loading system, the loading system is not quite performing as it should, but we'll look at that. Yeah, some broken plastic, I remember now. So that just needs to be glued, to be fair. Hopefully that's all it will take. I seem to remember the lamps have gone as well, but obviously not too worried about that until we get the rest of the deck going. And the biggest problem is this gear. Now this gear was actually, when I stripped it down originally, however many years ago it was, 3 years ago I suppose, this gear was actually split in two, and this gear is actually onto the mode switch, and I don't know how easy that's going to be to sort of get back on and fix. I think I've done a fairly good job at gluing it. It looks as if there's no glue there, but there is. I don't know how strong it's going to be. It's a bit of a bodge, but I'd just like to see the machine working, to be honest. So yeah, the other slight problem is when I took it apart, I don't know what I did with the screws. So more than likely, I mean, most of the screws on the case are fairly standard screws, but some of the other ones might be a bit trickier to source. So there's the mechanism there. It's floating about at the moment. This board has to come off to get to the mechanism, so just turn it over and just see what the top's like. This is actually amazing how heavy these machines are. They're very solid. I do really like them, to be fair. There's rust and other bits and pieces. Okay, so, oh, I kept the screws. Sometimes I do the right thing. What concerns me slightly is another gear there. I think this gear actually drives the mode switch gear, so I think this goes on top, and I don't know, we'll see. So I've taken that off. I'm just trying to remember what I did actually do. It's been such a long time. I don't know whether I can lift this from the top. I seem to remember I've always done it from the bottom, but it looks very inviting to just lift it up. I've got an end sensor there. which I think plugs into the loading system, sort of clips in. And there is a belt as well. This might actually be a better way to do it. Yeah, there we go. So there's the mode switch. That's where that intermediate gear goes, drives off here. There's a little tiny belt there, which I think I haven't replaced. I thought I had. That might be another deck that I did a while back. So, okay, so first slip up. This isn't actually the mode switch. And I sort of see why I thought it might have been. This is actually the gear that transmits energy from the bottom of the deck to the top of the deck. And yes, it does actually go into the mode switch. I'll show a diagram now from the manual. But also it loads or laces the cassette and changes the deck function. So yeah, that gear actually does quite a bit of work. So I think what I'm going to do with this gear is I'm going to reinforce it some more. I might even just melt a little bit of wire into it, just to really make sure that it's as strong as possible. It's a bit of an ugly repair, but this machine is really very tatty anyway. And to be honest, I think I'm just trying to get it going. I'll see if it is any good. And if it is, then maybe I can really make it very nice. But yeah, let's just see if we can get it going. So I've made a modification to the gear. I've actually glued on a washer, which will make it a lot stronger, and it is a heck of a lot stronger. But I still have the problem, and I say it's a problem, the issue that it's a bit big to go over the metal assembly that it was originally molded to, and of course that's why these crack. Over the years the metal expands and contracts, and it causes the plastic just to crack. And it really is it really is a very, very tight. I mean, this is a heck of a lot bigger than what's on there. I mean, obviously it would have been molded on, but I don't want that because it's just going to cause problems in the future. So what I'm going to do is with a drill bit, just carefully work this through, just sort of taking off the inside very carefully until in the end it's big enough to slide on there. Then I'll use some gel super glue, just a tiny bit, and that should do the trick. So yeah, I'll crack on with that. Okay, so here goes. I don't know quite how to do this. I think I'm going to put the glue on the gear. And I haven't actually got any gel. I did manage to get some super glue. I actually found I had some Loctite super glue, which is pretty good stuff. So we'll see how we get on with this. I'm a bit concerned because I've made the hole a bit big, and I might actually have to get some gel super glue in order to get this to work, but we'll see. And because it's a bit big, I need to suspend this. So I'm going to do it with the washer underneath. So that gap's too big. that's not what I want it to do at all. Yeah, I don't know how well this is going to work. Because there's now just too big a gap for it to set. It might. I also don't want it running uneven if I can help it. I mean, I'll probably get away with it. We do also need to give that a clean. But yeah, this needs gluing as well. So I'll do that. There's a bit of wire around there. Oh yes, that was broken, I seem to remember. And that was I think that was my little sort of bodgy fix. Possibly. Yeah, to get it to latch. It wasn't latching. But it is now. But of course we do have that break. Other side is fine, but it's just that. So let's get that done. Okay, so this feels terribly bodgy because ideally I'd take it all apart, but I'm not holding out much hope that this is going to work. I think this machine is pretty high hours and has been fairly abused. So it's a resurrection, I suppose. Plastic is actually slightly porous, so I'm going to put some glue on both surfaces. And then press it together. And yeah, I'll probably put an elastic band around it just to hold it all in place. But yeah, that should be good. So it's actually quite handy. I bought these elastic bands for a project my wife's doing and working on, and it's actually perfect. Not too tight, but it'll help keep that together. So yeah, I think we'll leave all of this to dry. Probably leave it overnight actually as well, because it is quite cold. And but this Loctite glue seems very, very good. So hopefully we should be good to go. And when I think about it, let's have a look at these lamps, or a lamp anyway. It looks like they are just on a bit of a rubberized type thing. Yeah, okay. I'd like to think they're 12 volt, but I really don't know. I don't know what those would be. If you do know what these are, let me know in the comments. My guess is they are 12 volts, and they run at a much lower, or I say much lower, a lower voltage, because they're only quite dim. But I suppose at the end of the day, I would like to think the circuit diagram will actually have, quite fiddly to get back in, will actually have the, in fact I'm probably going to leave it because I know they've gone, probably will have the voltages there, so I'll have a look. So, I slightly messed up. I managed to glue the mirror assembly. I'd forgotten how much the Loctite super glue creeps, and it had actually crept and got into the pivot for the mirror. So I've managed to free that. I've had to pretty much strip this down to do that. I have to say, it's really ingenious how this is done. It's all driven by springs, and there is just a catch down here. You remember there was a bit of copper wire around there which I'd put on, because I thought this was flapping about a bit too much, and well, I still think it is, because it can still come out of there. But I just think that maybe if I do something here, and I don't know whether there was supposed to be a spring there or something. It sort of makes sense that maybe there was, or maybe a washer. But I'll have a look at that, and I think there's supposed to be a spring in there, just to keep that sort of lifted so it's properly located. But yeah, the cassette loading mechanism is really very ingenious, and then it pushes this, or if you push there, it opens up. On this side you have the driving gears, and then the thing that makes the noise and damps it is this assembly. So put that back on. I've sort of been cleaning as I've been going. I didn't show it because, well, I'd like to think you'd never have this problem of being a little bit too haphazard with the glue. But it is just worth seeing how absolutely it's genius, really. It's just purely driven by a spring-loaded mechanism. These springs here, there was one there. There was one this side, yeah, spring there. Behind here, that's the other thing I forgot, mainly because I did this over a couple of days. There's a screw here as well. So you take the two screws off each side at the top, remove this top plate, and then you can remove these screws and actually separate the whole cassette loading system. And I'd slacken this off to get the to basically get the baskets free, and sort of relocated in the right place, to be honest, and forgot to put it back in, and so it was fouling, so it wasn't coming out fully. But of course came back to it and thought, oh good grief, what's gone on here? Yeah, you can see this just flopping about, something crazy. So yeah, let's take the clip off. See, the clip's been off a few times. There's a screw going in there. It's almost like this has been fashioned or something. I don't know. I've not, well, I say I've not seen. I've done a few of these machines, but I've never had to take the loading system off. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's all a bit odd. Somebody's made this. The plastic, because that would have been plastic, and someone's made this and put this in. Ah, plot thickens. And that screw, because it just didn't make sense there was a screw there. It's very clever. Very clever. But unfortunately there's just not quite the right gap there. Okay, so I'm gonna try and find, I think I'm gonna go for packing washers and just pack this out a bit so it's a little bit truer, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, well, it's sort of done. I've packed it out with washers. I've had to use the same circlip because I couldn't find one that actually was the right thickness. My ones I've got the right size but not the right thickness, and it just popped off. I've had to revert back to this bit of wire, just because this does flap about. Even with the packing in, it's flapping about. But it works. I mean, it does work. The only slight thing I find is occasionally it doesn't quite locate properly, like there is something else going on with this mechanism. But obviously, I mean, that's broken back in the day, and somebody's made a rather nifty replacement parts. So yes, so I'm going to get this back together, and get this lamp back in. Okay, so just putting the last of the screws in. All 4 screws on the top are the same, and also this cover here. This cover actually it comes up like so, and there's a tab, locating tab, so putting it back in is a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. And then the screw for it goes in here, and that's the same screw as on the top, or type of screw. It's actually a slightly different colour, but yeah, there we go. Let's check if it actually works after all that. Yeah, magic. That's really great. That actually does seem a bit better, possibly. It doesn't feel quite so crunchy when it goes down. I mean, yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't expect great things from this, but yeah, let's carry on and get the rest of it together. So that belt's off, and I'm really glad I checked this, because it's yeah, you can see it's sort of starting to go to goo. Sticking to the tweezers, but I've bought a deck tech belt. I actually bought 2 because I keep one as a spare, and this is pretty, I mean, it's a tiny bit smaller, which you'd expect. It isn't, I don't know what that went. It isn't specifically for these machines, but it's the correct belt. It will do the job beautifully. Deck Tech, you can buy these on eBay. This is currently the smallest one they do, 15mm diameter, and 1.2mm thickness. I shall put that on and start reassembling the deck, I suppose. Okay, so let's get this back together. Okay, so it's sort of back together, but it's enough to actually try it. So I'm going to power it on. I have no idea what to expect. We'll just go for it. Okay, well that's sounding very much like a deck that's out of time. Or that's got lots of light. But I would expect this to be moving, and it's not. And I can't eject, I can't pick any depth functions at all. I mean, it's obviously doing something, because I can see all of this moving under here. Oh, okay. 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 One cleaning cassette. Reason I'm using this, I don't care if it gets damaged. Well, that sounded awful. Oh, yes. Okay, so it's just spilled out a load of tape, which is why I used this cassette. And yeah, that's not great, is it? It's going to be savable. It's just ejected. Well, that's maybe not such a bad thing. It does feel like we've got some logic issues, maybe mechanical as well. The only reason I'm saving this is because I think I'd rather keep breaking this cassette than anything else, because I have a feeling this is going to be a bit of a funny one. Okay, so I've wound the cassette back in, the tape back into the cassette. Well, of course it's still in. Right, let's try again. Well, I do wonder if I've just got a jammed... Oh, let's actually cut it out. Right, so it's not putting the cassette, the tape back in. Can I lace this without? Yeah, so it knows it's cleaning cassette, I assume. Oh no, that's worked. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit of just use it a little bit to get everything moving. Gosh, it sounds so rough. Thing is, it's going to get to the point where I do need to really put a proper cassette in it. Because I don't really want to keep running a cleaning cassette through it. But it does seem to be working. Eject. Okay, well, I'm always tempted to try a cassette in it, a proper cassette, and to see what happens. Okay, so I guess with better judgment, here we go. I mean, it sounds terrible. Okay. Yeah, so it's actually running really, really fast. Like playback, it's like fast forward. Yeah, so the capstan is running like full speed when it shouldn't. The pinch roller is being pressed against the capstan, so that's cool. Wind rewind seems to work okay, but it is just that that capstan going like the clappers. I mean, I expect that to be noisy, but it's just like the capstan's running full speed all the time. I mean, I probably have a servo issue. Wind. Rewind are fine. It's just like going so fast. Yeah, so I think I've got a capstan issue. Yeah, so there will be a part 2. We will investigate it. I have got the service manual, so we can look at that. I think what we might just try quickly is to see if there is any image. Okay, so you can see from the image in the top corner, I have got an image. It looks pretty good, but of course that is a still. I can advance that. But if I put it back into play, it's just like crazy. So yeah, definitely have some sort of capstan issue there. It's flying like the clappers, so it could be Hall effect maybe. There's something in the phase lock loop that isn't working as it should. So yeah, we'll have a look at that in part 2. I'm actually really pleased we got as far as this. It's yeah, I'm quite amazed actually, because I really thought it was going to be a very just a lost cause, to be honest. But you know, the eject seems to work fine. Do want to just rewind this cassette. I mean, it's certainly not a refined deck, but it is working. With that, thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe. Subscribe especially because, you know, you'll get a notification then when we next look at this, which hopefully won't be too far away. Yeah, like I say, let me know in the comments on the capstan side of things if there's common issues with that. And I will see you in another video. Bye for now.